And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Happy to be here with you every single Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate your patience here this morning as we got set and ready to go inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City located for you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. And to find out more about their vast array of new and used cars, including the Honda Pilot, the Honda Ridgeline, as well as the Honda Civic, the Honda Accord, Honda CRV, Honda HRV. All you have to do is go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. With that being said, inside of today's broadcast, you know it's a Friday, so inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's popping. We're bringing you our trio of signature segments that we have every single Friday, and we're bringing back one that you haven't seen in a minute, starting things off with the annoying moment of the week. Proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Then Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. Proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero. Top Dog of the Week is announced at the top of the second hour around 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Proudly presented by the only place that I would trust to bring your dog for short and long-term care. That's Canine Kamp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. And the cereal combo is back. That's right. This is the opportunity for me to share with you my wonderful friend and Kings College Monarchs women's basketball head coach, Caitlin Hadzimichalis. Haj and I speaking with you on multiple topics of sports and life over bowls of cereal that we mash up and create. So her and I have this love for putting different cereals together, making different concoctions. And I was like, okay, well, and we figured this out when we were talking on the show before. We have a lot in common. We kind of read each other's brains, and that went as far as cereal combos. So I said to her last year, I said, I love having you on the show, but why don't I have you on the show, build a segment, have you on more often, and then you make a cereal combo, I make a cereal combo. We don't tell each other how we're mashing up our cereal that morning, and we share those bowls of cereal with each other and with the world while we discuss different things going on in the sports world and in the world in general here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to share a meal together, create a cool cereal combo each, and talk about sports and life. So that's coming up in just a little bit with Miss Caitlin Hadzimichalis around 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, all inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. So with that being said, it is time for the annoying moment of the week.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The annoying moment of the week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so. The annoying moment of the week, proudly brought to you by Carvel DeWitt. So my annoying moment, my buddy said to me last night, he's like, man, I'm going to be your annoying moment. And I said, no, you're not. And he said, yeah, I am. I made you go out of your way and have to do this and that. And it's like, no, you help your friends, you be there for each other. That's not an annoying moment for me. Annoying moment of the week for me, I would have to say, and people were pretty good about this last night when I went there. And then a few days ago, when I had gone to the movies as well, there's some people that were, people talking, people doing this and that. Now, I understand you're getting your food, you're trying to figure things out. I get it, right? You're trying to look through the app, what food am I going to be getting here? What am I going to be doing? Da-da-da-da-da. And that's all well and good, Are you comfortable, babe? Did you order the food? Get me some peanuts on the app? Whatever it may be. But this reality of I'm going to talk during the movie, right? I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to I'm going to have a conversation. I'm not ordering food. I'm just talking. And I have to put it out of my mind because I think it's one of the rudest things that you can do when it comes to just a normal public thing. I don't want to say it's one of the rude. I mean, there's plenty of rude things you could do, but I mean, in a theater, when you're in a place like that, when you're at a theater, when you're at church, you're supposed to not be talking, right? You're supposed to be quiet and enjoy what's going on. I mean, you paid for this movie, right? Somebody paid for this movie. So you're watching this movie and it's like, why are you talking to, why are you, I think one person answered their phone, and I'm looking over at this, because there's only a couple of us in there. And I looked over at this guy, like, is this dude really talking on his phone right now? And like, and just, he didn't have a long conversation, but I'm sitting here like, dude, take that outside. You don't take that in here. You take that outside. But it's just that etiquette, right? The etiquette. And some people are taught it. I guess some people weren't taught it. I guess some people didn't have parents that wanted to give you, the kind of etiquette information stuff that I mean, maybe they did tell you, maybe they didn't tell you. Maybe they weren't raised that way. I don't know. But there's certain things that you feel like are just normal etiquette. Just normal stuff that we should all be practicing. One of those things being that when you're watching a movie and you're watching it in public, you don't talk and do all this stuff, right? You don't mess around in that respect. It's like you watch the movie or you leave the movie. If you're not watching it and you got stuff going on, then go handle your business, right? But people, I mean, to me, I feel like, people used to, sometimes people do it and then somebody looks. I mean, I remember I was in a theater one time on Long Island, Long Beach, and this guy was like talking during the movie and whatnot, and somebody got up, and like people, I think like somebody's trying to like shush him or whatever, and then somebody got up, and this guy got up like, dude, that's enough, like knock it off. And then the guy got mad. The guy, and then he wants to like fight, and he's standing up in the middle of the theater. And it's like, dude, okay, you're talking during the movie. I don't know who you're trying to fight with or who you're trying to argue with. Like, just be quiet and kind of handle yourself. You know what I mean? Like, if you go, I used to take my grandmother to the movies, right? So my grandmother sometimes would ask a question. My grandma's in her 90s. So, sometimes she's going to ask me a question and I'd be like, oh, grandma, like, we got to be quiet. But like, what do you need? Like, and answer her question. But I'm talking about people that should know better. I'm talking about people that should understand the etiquette of how you handle yourself in a place like a movie theater. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the people that, like a little kid, they may not know better, right? If they're little. Your grandparents may not know better. And they might be asking you for something or something like that. And in those moments, you do the best you can to kind of like be quiet and answer what they have going on and try and figure out what they need. But I'm talking about people that know. I'm talking about somebody who's 15 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old. People that know what the etiquette is to be in a movie theater. And they're answering their phone and they're talking and they're checking this and they're checking that. If you can't put your phone away for 2 hours, now I understand if you have an emergency. I get it. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about you can't help yourself. You got to play Candy Crush in the middle of the movie. Like you're going to twitch if you don't. I'm saying you got to check your text message. Oh my gosh. Who's texting me? Who's calling me? Who's texting me? What's going on? I got to check my Facebook. Or I don't check my phone, I'm going to pass out. That, right? There is an addiction to phones where you just can't stop. You feel like you can't stop. And you have to train yourself to stop. Because going to the movies back in the day used to be a privilege. Now we go like we're sitting at home. Can you pause the movie? I got a text. But see that in general, and it's not just a movie theater. If you're watching a movie with somebody, right, and that person's me, like I asked you out for a reason. We're friends, we're family. I'm on a date. I'm bringing you out because I want to spend time with you. And if you're going to be on your phone, and that's not just in the movie, that's like at dinner and this and that. I'm not saying you don't text your mom and say like, hey mom, got to the date okay. I'm not saying those things. I'm saying you're on it, middle of the date, middle of the movie, middle of the, just you can't help yourself because you're stuck to it, because you're addicted to it. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you can't put that thing away for a couple minutes. Just put it away. Take the phone, put it over here. Right? Pay attention. Listen. And I'm a culprit. You know, I had my moments where I'm like, wow, I'm on this phone way too much. Like, why do I keep checking? Put the phone down. I don't have to know. I don't have to check it right now. You know, because we talk about living with regret. And there's this cartoon of this guy who's laying in bed and he's got his back to his wife and she's like looking at him and he's on his phone just doing stuff. And then there's like a side by side picture of she passed away. And he's laying in bed, like looking over at her spot. And now he's not on his phone anymore because now that she's gone, now he wants to be with her. But when she was there, he's on his phone. And that paints a bigger picture of the true annoying moment of any week is that some of us don't appreciate what we got until we don't have it no more. We don't appreciate what we got until it's gone. You know, people say, well, that's a cliche. It's also very true. And I can't stand that, right? I can't stand that. Like you like somebody, you care about somebody, you're friends with somebody, you know, whatever. And then the moment that you're like, you know what, this person ignores me, they treat me poorly, they treat me like I'm a dime a dozen, I'm walking away. And then all of a sudden they want to know about you. What's going on? Why you didn't call me? And to me, it's like, if you got a true friend, they'll pick up the phone. If you got somebody that cares, they'll put their phone down when they're with you. It shouldn't be that hard. You know, we can't lose the art of, yeah, I know we're doing things and we got everything at our fingertips, but people still die, right? People still get fed up. People still walk away. And you don't want to wait until those moments until it's too late, either because that person passes away or that person just had enough and they walk away, to be like, no, I really care about you. Because you know what that person's thinking? You care about me because I'm leaving. So let's say I come back to the house, I come back to the apartment. We try to do this, pretend like nothing happened. And guess what? A couple hours from now, you're back on your phone. Sometimes the only way to teach somebody is to walk away. And I just feel like with our technology these days, there's this irony of when I'm with this friend, I'm texting another friend and I'm not paying attention to them. And then when I'm with that other friend, I'm texting this person I was just with, and this person I was just with should be like, dude, I was sitting next to you. Now you want to text me because I'm not around? That's so weird. That's so weird, right? Just text me when text me when I'm not there. Hang out with me when I am. We can't lose those things. We can't lose this. And you definitely cannot have your child being educated by technology. Your child needs to be educated by you. And if you're not willing to do that, then give your child up. Let somebody have a foster child or adopt a child. But my whole thing is, if you don't want to raise your child and you want technology to raise your child, you're going to make us, the world, raise your child later, because technology is not going to teach your child the things that only you can teach your child. Those lessons, right? Technology is not going to do that for you. Technology, especially if a kid, think about it. Adults that get addicted to their technology are like, they're a nightmare to deal with. Well, if a child starts out life that way, now this kid has like no social skills, can't concentrate on anything, has anxiety if you take their phone away, doesn't know what real life looks like, doesn't know how to look somebody in the eye, doesn't know how to go on a date, doesn't know how to go on an interview, doesn't know how to work. You didn't teach your kids that. And that's your fault. You know, I think so many times we blame kids for screwing up, but sometimes a kid has a great home life, great parents, great guardians, and they just decide to do bad things, which is awful and sad. And other times they have a fantastic upbringing and they just decide to do this. I mean, sometimes that happens, and sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's the parent. I just said it twice. You could tell my tiredness this week. I've been up late nights this week. But there's this kid has a great household and they just decided to do something bad. And this kid has a household where nobody's teaching the poor kid, right? Nobody's reprimanding the kid. The easiest thing in the world back in the day, I'm going to take your phone away, and a kid would wisen up. Now, if you took a kid's phone away, I feel like a kid would like melt. What would they do? Be like, it's like a drug. Be like scratching themselves. It's like being hooked on cocaine or something. It's not good if technology forces a child to feel like they can't function and or live without it. That's addiction. So what we need to do in life is we need to pull that away. Like if I have a child someday, I don't want them on a phone as a kid. I don't care what anybody says. I don't want him or her on the phone at 3 years old, 5 years old. No, absolutely not. I don't want their little tiny brain growing and being molded by whatever they're watching. No, I want mommy and daddy and, those that love you. I want to help bring you up, help teach you. We're not perfect, but I trust me better than social media teaching my child about life. Not that social media has bad things. Social media has a ton of good things, right? It's not all bad. I use social media all the time in a positive way. But I do see the negatives. People that just can't help themselves to reach out to a stranger and be like, I'm going to be really mean to you. I'm going to say something really mean, and I hope it bothers you. People that want to bother other people are sad people. They're sad. So let's clarify the annoying moment of the week. Stay off your phone in the movie theater, and if you can't be off your phone for 2 hours, and I'm not talking about, there's an emergency or someone's about to have a baby or something. I'm not talking about that. There's a time where you have to answer your phone. But it's, again, you take it outside. If you're expecting a call and you're in a theater, you take your phone and you get your butt outside and you answer it. I'm not saying go outside. I'm saying just go outside of the theater, stand in the hallway. Respect the other people that paid the money to go there. And that's the thing that I think people forget. We want to be respected, right? If we're not on our phone and we've put our phone away and somebody else is on their phone, it annoys us. But when we pick our phone out, do we all think about how we annoy them? Well, I have a reason to pick my phone out, Dan. Well, what if they do? I mean, everybody's got a reason. Doesn't mean it's a good one. So keep your phone out of theaters. Actually pay attention to people when you're with people. And just be kind in public and stop thinking about it's everybody for themselves. Because that's how society dies and deteriorates and becomes nothing. That's one. Two, raise your kids. I am a firm believer, and I have actually seen this in real life. If you do not raise your children, you will force the world to have all of the problems that you left with that child. If you do not raise your kid, then you leave the world to raise your kid, and it's not our responsibility to do it, and your child becomes a nuisance. I mean, I saw a kid whose parents were afraid to raise them. They don't get reprimanded. They don't get bothered. They literally treat this person like royalty and don't do anything to rock the boat. This person understands that, so they get money. They get a bunch of free stuff. They live in their parents' house. Their parents pay their bills. Nobody upsets the apple cart. And then I watched how this person in their 30s treated the rest of the world. And I was like, wow, they genuinely want everyone to bow to them because their parents bowed to them. So understand that how you treat your kid's going to turn around and think, oh, that's how the world is. That's how it's going to be. It's your job as a parent or guardian to raise your child in such a way of telling them the good, the right things to do. And I don't want to hear, Dan, right and wrong. No, there's a certain right and wrong. Okay. Well, your right is different than my right. Okay. Don't murder people. That's a universal right. Right? That's a don't do that. Don't steal. That's a wrong thing. Right? Don't commit adultery. Treat others the way you want to be treated. These are normal universal things. We have to stop saying, well, in my household, I think right and wrong is different than your right. And it's like, my goodness. When parents were unified and it's like, these things are always bad. Don't do these things, right? Don't spit on people. Not don't spit on someone unless they spit on you. Don't spit on someone unless they give you a reason to. No, just don't spit on people. There's certain things that I learned, that my friends learned, and a lot of us, we just kind of knew it. They didn't have to talk about it. We just kind of knew, like, these are the things we don't do. These are the things that are okay to do. But we live in this world where it's like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to teach my kid what I want to teach my kid, and how dare you, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, you can teach your kid whatever you want to teach your kid. But that doesn't mean that your kid doesn't become the world's problem still. Right? My parents raised me to see things. My parents raised me that when I take my phone out at 39 years old in a movie theater, I'm like, I'm literally getting like, I'm like, you better look at this thing quick and you better put this away because you know for a fact that every time you see somebody take your phone out, it annoys you. When they take their phone out, it annoys you in a movie theater. Just put your phone away. Okay? So raise your kids. If you want to have them, if you want to do the thing that gets to having kids and you want to have fun in that world, then take the responsibility that comes with it and raise your kids. Because there's really good parents out there. And then there's parents out there where I'm like, do you even know that you have kids? And if you neglect them, they will neglect the world. Your children may mirror exactly what you do. And if you're a good person and you do good things, well, that's great. But if you're a person that doesn't care and is selfish, you might create another person who is just kind of detached from the world and selfish. And I don't want to see that. And I've literally seen it happen. And it was one of those things where it's like, this is a theory of mine. And then you watch that theory come to life and you're like, oh my goodness, this is what it looks like when somebody is raised in such a way where they don't have to deal with anything in their life because mom and dad are going to take care of it. So this person legitimately doesn't feel bad when they do bad things. So that's an annoying moment of the week. It's an annoying moment of any week. You know, we have to do better in raising our children, being present with our children, caring for other people. And we can't tell somebody don't smoke while we're lighting up. And we can't tell somebody don't smoke while we're vaping. And we can't tell somebody don't swear while we're swearing, right? Common sense tells us that if you do something while you're telling somebody not to do it, you know, they're probably not going to believe it, not going to believe you. And I think a lot of people are like, well, I can use my phone if I feel like it. But almost nobody wants to see somebody else do that in a public place like a theater, right? You put it away. You're experiencing something with the rest of the world. Enjoy that experience. You know what I mean? Enjoy it. Who goes to a movie for what it costs? Right? Last night I went to the movie, it cost $13.75 a person. I want to spend $13 to sit there and ignore the screen and ignore my friend and ignore the experience. It's stupid, right? But people get desensitized, right? I do so many cool things. I go everywhere. I don't even care anymore. Like people go to Disney every single year. I go to Disney a lot, but I don't forget the magic of it. It's important to me, right? And if I do forget the magic of it, if I do forget like, hey, there's people that are here that I just walked by that'll never come back here again. They saved for 20 years and they're never coming back again. This is a one-time deal. And you've been here over 200 times, Daniel. So don't walk around here like none of this matters and whatever, I'll just come back tomorrow when there's somebody that's they can't have that. You know, we have to think about the fact that if God has blessed us, we be thankful and we give to the next person. We don't just take and expect. So be kind in public, raise your kids, don't make them the world's problem. And, you know, honestly, just in my opinion, when it comes to this week's annoying moment of the week, and I think about kind of what this week has been like, the golden rule comes up to me. And I just think about the golden rule repeatedly. Treat others the way you want to be treated. You know, there's certain things that happened this week that made me take a step back and say, you know, hypocrisy should be a deadly sin. I mean, it's because it's awful. It's awful. We have so many expectations of the world and we don't expect that of ourselves. And that to me is ridiculous. Jerry said, when I was about 17, I helped a guy be quiet in the movies. He slept almost till the end. So, understood. My dad did it we were at a concert. These three kids kept standing up and like most people were sitting down and my dad was sitting down. My dad couldn't stand, you know, he wasn't going to stand up the whole concert. And he asked the kid, he said, can you sit down? I can't really see. And then he asked again, he's like, hey, you know, can you please sit down I can't see. And then he just reached forward, put his hands on the kid's shoulders, and pushed him down to his seat. And he was like, okay, like now I've sat you down. Please don't get up again. It's not don't enjoy something, right? It's just think about the people around you. I mean, I remember when I had my knee injury that, that comes and goes. I had this like freak knee injury that happened, and because somebody was careless, and I was in a wheelchair at the time because it just helped me get around faster. It was when I initially injured my knee. And I was trying to see this event that was going on at Hollywood Studios, and there were people standing in front of me, and I tried to move my wheelchair closer, and like some people are nice, whatever, but then some people wouldn't. And then one person like didn't even look at me, like walked over my wheelchair, kicked my wheelchair, like kicked it with their leg as they were standing over it. And I'm looking at these people going like, if you were sitting in this chair right now, you'd be like, why doesn't anybody care about the fact that I'm in the chair? Normally, wheelchairs matter to people. Normally, you see a wheelchair and you get out of the way. And even if you're a terrible person, when you see a wheelchair, something inside of you goes, I should be nice in this moment. And I thought to myself, I'm in this wheelchair for a couple days. I don't have to be in this, not even a couple days. I'm in this wheelchair because it helps me get around faster than my crutches. I don't need this wheelchair. I'm in it because it's helping things be easier now, and I don't have anybody at the park with me. So it's helping me get around faster and save some of my energy and stay off my knee. But I'm not going to be in this for the rest of my life. There's people that are never going to be able to get out of this thing. If somebody blocks them and doesn't care and doesn't turn around and say, let me create a space for you, they're like that for the rest of their life. I was annoyed that day that person didn't move. But if you're in a wheelchair your whole life and people are standing in front of you going, I don't care about you. I want to see the fireworks. Screw you. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair, not my problem. A world that deals with life by saying, not my problem. That feels like that feels like a Christmas Carol moment where God's going to show up and go, let me show you how it is your problem. Let me show you how things come all the way back around. When you don't care about this, that, and the third, let me show you what that looks like. So that's not me wishing bad on people. And I tell people this all the time. When I say don't do bad things because they're going to come back to you, that's not me wishing that something bad happens to you. That's me telling you, you choose. Do a good thing, do a bad thing. Understand what you put in, you get out. And if you've been putting in bad and you've been getting out good all the way up until this point, so you think, oh, God must have messed up the channels here. I'm good to go. God don't forget. God pays attention. And God is not the type. If God gives you blessings while you're doing bad things, you better repent. You better get yourself right. Appreciate those blessings. But if you think, I'm doing bad stuff and I keep getting good stuff, so I'm going to keep doing bad stuff because why change? I'm getting really good things that good people are supposed to get while I'm doing bad stuff. Nothing bad's going to happen to me. What you put in, you get out eventually. So, because there's people that do good things that are like, why are bad things happening to me? I'm going to start doing bad things because what's the point in doing good things? Because only bad things are happening. Hey, I can tell you from experience, hold on and keep doing the good things because good things will happen. They will. And don't do something good to get something good. Just do something good. I don't hold the door open for someone to be like, oh my God, you're so great. I don't hold the door open because this girl's attractive and then shut the door in front of a face of somebody who I don't think is attractive. If you're behind me, I'm holding the door. Because if I don't, I feel bad. Something inside of me goes, hold that door. Because it's the right thing to do. And I thank my parents for teaching me those things. And my grandparents for teaching me those things. And God for teaching me those things. It's an annoying moment of the week when we don't think of other people. It's an annoying moment of the week where we inconvenience other people and never want to be. I've never met a person who wants to be inconvenienced, but I have been around a lot of people that inconvenience others. So think about that. I don't think any of us want somebody on their phone in a movie theater. But some of us will get on our phone in a movie theater. So treat others the way you want to be treated. Golden rule, right? Annoying moment of the week. Shut that phone off and enjoy that movie. I watched a good one. I watched Companion. Supposed to be a scary movie. Not that scary. Not that bad. I don't plan on dating a robot at any point in my life. So, Not bad. And I actually felt bad for the robot. So I think you should go see Companion. It wasn't, for those of you that don't like scary movies, it's not that bad. We'll take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The Annoying Moment of the Week brought to you by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like, and it is the exclusive home of my Sunday, the DT Dolphin. Mint chocolate chip, green for the Dolphins. Hot fudge, whipped cream, cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping onto your whipped cream. Go and find it today only at Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. We'll be back with Lead right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Rd in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Happy to be here with you every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. It is now time for us to jump into Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver. That is the acronym that I sat down with God one day and was like, okay, I want to come up with something. I want to do it with Chick-fil-A Cicero. What can we come up with? What word can make sense as the word itself, can have big meaning as the word itself, and also each of those letters have meaning. Learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. So in this edition of Lead, our topic is free speech isn't a green light for hate. It's not. I was having this conversation yesterday, coming out of the movie, with my buddy Josh Gideon, the owner of GG Cards and Breaks, about freedom of speech. And about how some people think that freedom of speech means, well, I can say whatever I want. I could say whatever I want. That's what free speech means. And yeah, I guess it does mean that you have the freedom to say what you want. But that doesn't give you freedom from consequences. And that is a part that people forget. Well, Dan, I have the freedom to say whatever I want to say. You do. But if it's racist, if it's sexist, if it's prejudiced, if it's derogatory, negative, shaming, hateful, there can be repercussions for that, right? People hide behind things when it suits them. And again, just like using your phone in a theater and not wanting anybody else to, you don't want anybody to use their freedom of speech to call you names and disrespect you and embarrass you in public, but you may be willing to do that. And what I've seen in this world, especially over the last few years, is there is a hypocrisy of people who cannot take it, but they love to dish it. And on a small scale or on a large scale, if you're going to dish it, you got to be able to take it, right? If you're going to go out there and you're going to say hate speech, you're going to be derogatory towards someone that's different than you, what if they did that to you? What if they harassed your mom, your dad, your sister, your husband, your kids? You want to send your kids to school with ideas in their head that these people aren't like you and you need to hate those people. Well, what if your kids came home with stories that were the same as that? What if instead of your kid saying something nasty, somebody said something nasty to your kid? And it doesn't have to be racist, and it doesn't have to be sexist, and it doesn't have to be prejudiced. It could just be somebody doing mean things to somebody else. You realize that we hear, and maybe it's because of social media, but so many stories about people taking their lives. I didn't think that I was ever going to experience that in my life. I had a friend of mine take their life when I was in college, and I was a sophomore. And I love and miss them to this day, and I pray they are in heaven, and I pray they're reunited with their loved ones that passed on. I pray their loved ones here on earth are safe and sound, and that they're all together, even in death, that they are with each other in heaven and on earth because Jesus destroyed death and restored our life. In his name, amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. But nowadays, I had, fast forward to now, I had a friend who attempted to take his life seemingly over a girl. And the kid's a teenager, 17. And this girl, and what she was doing to him and how she was treating him, he wanted to end his life over it. Freedom of speech is not freedom to say whatever you want without consequences. People forget the last two words that I said. You can say whatever you want. And we're in a free country. And by the way, go to another country, see if you could speak it. Go to Russia. Go to China. Go to North Korea. And scream at the top of your lungs something that's anti-leadership. Do you wake up in your bed the next morning? I don't know. I'm not there. But there's a fear, right? There's a fear that people have. Maybe it's true and maybe it's not. I don't know. I can't speak to it. But there's a fear that in some countries, you cannot be yourself. You cannot say what you want to say and do what you want to do. You can only fall in line to who is in power, and you better agree with them or else. There's been conversation about more than one dictator whose family member didn't clap enough at an event for this person, so this person had them killed. Oh, my uncle didn't clap enough when I stood up? Well, yeah, then he's going to die today. Okay? Keep in mind that not everybody has freedom of speech. We should, God-given right, God-given blessing taken away by human beings, we should all have the freedom of speech. We should. It's a God-given blessing, not a right. Okay? We need to stop looking up at God and go, here are my rights. Hey, hey, I wouldn't be looking up at God demanding this and demanding that, and these are my rights. God gave us life. Okay, we don't turn around and tell God where to put it. And this freedom of speech thing that people use as a disguise for hate, as a disguise for anger, as a disguise for whatever hang-ups they have in their life, we need to recognize that freedom of speech is not the freedom to just do and say whatever you want without repercussions. There are repercussions for what you do. There are. And for you to think that there's not, I mean, maybe you live in a bubble. Maybe you've been protected all your life. But the reality of life is, it doesn't stop with, I can say whatever I want, period. It truly ends with, you can say whatever you want with consequences. Right? There are consequences to certain things that you say and do. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be who you are. It means it's not a green light for hate. It's not. I'm a broadcaster. I'm on the internet. There's no FCC here. I can swear profusely. I can say horrible things if I want to say them. And I would like to tell you, like, well, on the internet, you could say whatever you want. Not like on television. But on television, you can kind of say whatever you want now. There's F words on TV now. I'm watching a movie and I'm going, well, they're not going to play this F word. This is on regular television. Some like kid could find this on basic cable. Nope, they said the F word. They're not going to show this sex scene. It's on television. Well, there the sex scene is. So I remember somebody said, damn. I think it was on Friends. I think there was an episode of Friends and Ross was like pushing his daughter on a swing and they said, damn. And I looked at my parents and I'm like, can they say that on broadcast TV? Now you can say the B word. You can say the S word. Some places you can say the F word. Right? Free speech is not a green light for hate. It's not. And why did I bring up the swear words? Because when you see that stuff, you're like, okay, that's normal. You get desensitized. If you hear the F word enough, you get desensitized to it. What do they say? If you yell at your kids enough, then your kids just tune you out. Like if you're a parent who yells at your kids all the time, it loses its effect, right? If you are constantly out there just hearing hate and seeing that, and you know, people like when Columbine happened, there was no other school shooting. Now there's so many, unfortunately, and God willing, they will stop. I pray for the victims and I pray for the perpetrators, because if you don't pray for the perpetrators, there's always going to be more victims. So I'm praying for the perpetrators to find God and change their lives before they do something that they're going to regret that's bad. Columbine was an isolated case. Now it happens so much, people are desensitized to it. Oh, another school shooting? Whatever. What am I having for lunch? That's what society's become. I've literally watched it happen in America. We become desensitized to things. And in certain instances, we become desensitized to like anything that we say and do cannot be used against. What are the Miranda rights, right? Anything you say or do can be used against you in a court of law. That's part of the Miranda rights. They're literally telling you, you have the freedom to be and do and say whatever you want to do and say and be. But it can be used against you in a court of law. Now, does that give the government the right to stop you from peacefully protesting? No. Does it give the government the right to stop you from practicing your religion? I mean, we talk about the other freedoms that we have here. Speaking on those, assembly, religion. You have the right in this country to be free. Not everybody has that. So number one, get to know that. Okay? A lot of us have never been down the street from where we grew up. So you don't know the world. You think you know the world. You know your world. So don't wake up in the morning like, well, I got the freedom to do whatever I want. I live in America. While people are over here with their mouths shut, can't tell people what they want. Allegedly, there's people in the Middle East that are Catholic that in recent history, if these people were practicing their faith or found out about their faith, they could be killed. Was a story that I heard. Do I know it to be true? I don't. I didn't live it, thank God. But there are people saying Catholics in the Middle East, no. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they're being killed. But I was like, oh my goodness, what if that was true? And then I met somebody from Egypt that said, my family fled to America from Egypt so that because we're Catholic and my parents wanted us to have a better life. So there's got to be some truth to it. If his family was like, we're not staying here, being Catholic, this isn't a good life for all of us. We're Catholic in Egypt, and we want to be in a place where we feel safer, better. So not everybody has the freedoms that you have, number one. That's something you need to think about. But freedom of speech is not a green light for hate. What you say can be used against you, right? And how you treat people, just let that matter. Okay? Let that matter. Freedom of speech. When people say things, well, I can say whatever I want, freedom of speech. It's not freedom of consequence. Right? What we say and what we do can hurt people. And we have to learn that freedom of speech does not mean there's no consequences. We have to learn to evolve to say there's certain things that if I say them, I could be, I mean, I grew up with the freedom to be who I wanted to be, but I didn't go to school and say, oh, well, that gives me the right to tell this person they're ugly, they're stupid, they should kill themselves. You're different than me. I hate you. You don't look like me, so you're lower than me. I was never taught that. But we see social media these days, and people are really, really, really not understanding what freedom of speech means. They think it ends with those three words. Yet, like I said, the Miranda rights say what? What you say and do can be used against you in a court of law. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. Right? So, thank God we're not in a country that wants to shush us, but I feel like there's parts of our country that do want to do that. And I'm not saying that you don't have the right to say what you want to do, and I'm not saying that it's right for somebody to try and take that away. I'm saying for you to think that there are no consequences for how you act is awful, and it's ridiculous. And I feel like some people have just gotten to a point where they just spew evil, and they don't care because they're hiding behind, well, this country says I can. This country does not say you can spread evil. This country does not say you can spread hate. This country does not say that you could be racist and sexist and prejudiced and ageist and on and on and on. There's nothing in this country that says, be a terrible person. That's how we support your freedom of speech. This country said you should not feel shut up and not allowed to be yourself. You should not feel like a prisoner in your own land. And at the same time, you should understand that your words can hurt. Your words can have a lasting effect. And the things that you say do matter. They do matter. I mean, there's a politician and the way that they acted toward God. I didn't listen to anything they had to say. I didn't listen to anything they had to say. The way that person, and could that have been taken out of context? Could that specific moment, then I'm like, oh, that's not good. Could that have been taken out of context? Was I already kind of uneasy? But to me, it's like, if you say you're something and you're not, I'm going to see that. And maybe that was a bad example, but a better example is somebody who is this one thing, but they don't act like that. You know, I'm Catholic for an hour on Sunday, but when I go out in public, I'm going to do whatever I want. Those people, you know, if you believe in God and you practice your faith, Your faith is not 1 hour on a Sunday morning and then do whatever you want until you ask God for forgiveness the next Sunday. Right? There are people that say they have a faith, and there's people that practice their faith. And people that practice their faith understand that freedom, unfortunately, in this world has not come free. And that the freedom to say what we want to say doesn't mean that we have the freedom to hurt others and to say mean things and to go after people with our words and our actions. It means we have the freedom to choose anything that comes out of our mouth or anything that we sign. It doesn't give you a green light to spread hate. The people that use free speech as an argument to say, well, whatever I said that hurt your feelings, whatever, I have free speech. Those are people that know what they did was wrong, and they're just trying to distort and manipulate the law to suit them. Oh, I didn't do anything wrong because in this country I have the freedom to say horrible things. I don't remember the Constitution saying you have the freedom to say horrible things. I remember it saying you have the freedom to speak. I have freedom of speech. But does that mean if I disagree with my mom at the table when I was a kid that I could swear at her and call her mean names? I have the freedom to say what I want. But if my mom didn't give me the dinner I wanted and I called her a name, is there a consequence to that, or does she just sit there? Or do I make her cry? We need to realize that free speech is a beautiful thing and it should never be taken away. But we have to use it like anything else, understanding that there are consequences to negative, hateful, mean behavior. We need to get back to being a country and a world that is not only free and promotes free speech, but also a world that says just because we're promoting free speech doesn't mean that we're promoting you to hurt each other. It's very basic, but I think there's a lot of adults that just don't get it. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life inside of the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday weekly for sales and service. To find a vast array of new and used cars and a company that I trust, a place that I trust, that I've gotten my vehicles for over a decade, go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com and then head over to 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. With that being said, it's time for our top dog of the week. Top dog of the week coming to you from Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, the only place that I trust to take care of your dog for short and long-term care, both in East Syracuse. Canine Camp Dog Daycare on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York, across from BJ's. You can see it right from the road, right off of Erie Boulevard. You will see. So you're coming off Erie Boulevard, you're on Bridge Street, across from that BJ's, you will see Canine Camp Dog Daycare, and you can get in touch with them at 315-437-7110, as well as learn more information about the daycare by going to K-9 KAMP.com. You can also bring them to long-term care dog boarding at Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, and Canine Kampground is right down the road from the daycare. You can get in touch with them by calling 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Get in touch with Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. And, of course, you could go online to KAMPground.com for more information today. Top dog of the week for this week, folks, my fans of the Buffalo Bills, guess what? You already know. You already know. But the man finally got his first MVP, and I had the conversation about it yesterday. Yes, Lamar Jackson is good. Yes, Lamar Jackson is a multi-time MVP. But MVP of the regular season is about this regular season. And Lamar had a great year. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But Josh Allen was out here doing things that hadn't been done before for a quarterback in a season. And with that, he wins his first MVP ever. First MVP award ever. Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills quarterback, is my top dog of the week. Josh Allen, being the person that he is, said, quote, Lamar was very deserving of this award as well. I got nothing but love and respect for him in this game. He is, like I said earlier, a great steward of the game. And every time we share a field, I'm very fortunate to be mentioned in the same breath as him. It's been a good few months, I'll tell you that. Obviously, wish we were playing this weekend. Wish I wasn't here. Meaning at the event, because they're preparing for the big game. But life moves on, and stuff off the field to players matters too. And where I'm at in my life with my family, with my fiance Haley, I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more ecstatic who I get to spend my life with. End quote. Haley Steinfeld, he's talking about, actress and singer. He was mentioning her in this. Josh Allen finally becomes an MVP. And I am so happy for him. You know on this show that I have backed Lamar Jackson forever and a day. And you also know that I didn't know anything about Josh Allen when he was going into the draft out of Wyoming. But I watched film on him, and I came on this show and I said, this dude's got an arm. I remember I was like, this dude can throw. And then I went to a game when he played up against the Jaguars, 8 carries, 100 yards. I said, and he can run. And Josh Allen has just impressed me more and more since I watched that film when he was at Wyoming. 2024-25 NFL MVP Josh Allen. Congratulations, Josh. I spoke to a Bills fan yesterday before the decision was made. And they were hoping. Josh Allen, 28 years old, received 27 first-place votes. Allen also had 22 second-place votes and 1 third-place vote, finishing with 383 voting points. Lamar Jackson, already a two-time MVP, he had 23 first-place votes, 26 second-place votes, and 1 fourth-place vote for 362 voting points. The same voters awarded 30 votes to Jackson and 18 votes to Allen in the All-Pro voting. Allen's win now makes him only the second quarterback to be named MVP, excluding co-MVPs, without also being the AP first-team All-Pro selection that season. The only other was John Elway, who won the MVP award over first-team All-Pro Joe Montana in 1987. Tennessee's Steve McNair and Indianapolis' Peyton Manning were co-MVPs in 2003 when Manning was named first-team All-Pro. So this is only the second time in history where a quarterback was named MVP, excluding co-MVPs, like the case of McNair and Manning. The second time in history to be named MVP without also being the AP first-team All-Pro selection that season. The only other time was John Elway, who won the MVP award over the All-Pro Joe Montana. But in the co-MVP season, we did see it happen with McNair and Manning also being first-team All-Pro. So he also went on to say, quote, "I know this is an individual award and it says most valuable player on it, but I think it's derived from team success and I love my team," is what Josh Allen said. "It truly takes everybody to have team success, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of a great organization. With that being said, be good, do good, God bless, and go Bills." End quote. I couldn't be more happier for the man. Absolutely incredible. And I wish he was playing too. Nothing against Kansas City Chiefs, but I know Bills fans have waited for a really long time. And I know Josh Allen's been something really special to them. Put that up there with Jim Kelly when it comes to the Bills. Now, Josh Allen has this. Lamar Jackson has too. And I'm really happy for him. He's the first Bill to win the award in 33 years. Running back Thurman Thomas won the MVP, regular season MVP for the NFL in the 1991 season. And Josh Allen also made franchise history as the only Bills quarterback to have won the MVP since the team joined the NFL in 1970. So, God bless, and go Bills, and go Josh Allen. Happy for you. And I hope I get to interview you someday, or just get to meet you. With that being said, we're going to shift into Cereal Combo right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. This has been the Top Dog of the Week, celebrating Josh Allen's first NFL MVP. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying. In the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and Kampground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life inside of the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Syracuse, New York. Open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Get more information on their wonderful variety of vehicles, including my favorite, the Honda CR-V. I got a 2025 one. They changed the look in the front. I absolutely love my vehicle. Sleek, awesome. And it looks like a vehicle that's like for an Italian, I will say. So, but with that being said, head to GreatLakesHondaCity.com for more information and let them know the DT sent you. With that being said, here for Cereal Combo, I am so happy to be bringing this back. It has been way too long, and Caitlin Hadzimichalis, a.k.a. Hodge, here with me, picture in picture. So, here with you for Cereal Combo on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. I am here with the Kings College women's basketball head coach and my friend Caitlin Hadzimichalis. Caitlin, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Dan? Doing well over here. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I realized when I said Caitlin, I'm like, I always say Hodge, and saying Caitlin felt off for me. Do people call you Caitlin? Do they just call you coach, or is it Hodge all the time?
Mostly Hodge.
Okay.
Mostly Hodge. A few Coach Hodges here and there, but it's mostly Hodge.
So, do you have your cereal ready?
I would not leave you hanging like that.
So, I was like, oh man, this morning I was thinking about it and I'm like, I think I want to do this with this one cereal, but I don't think I have it. I found out that I do have that cereal, but I thought it was cheating because it's a cereal that did the mashup for you, so I did not use that one. What is your cereal of choice today? What'd you mash?
Nothing fancy. We got some Frosted Flakes and some Cocoa Pebbles.
Okay, all right. Frosted Flakes and Cocoa Pebbles. I went with honey and cinnamon, so I have the world of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Honey Chex that have found their way together. And I want to thank the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic for giving me something I can now use to pour the milk on the show for Cereal Combo. So before we get started, we got to try these, right?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yours sounds really good though. I like Honey Chex. And you can't go wrong with your Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
You want to know what these taste like? If you put Honey Chex and Cinnamon Toast Crunch together, it tastes like Apple Jacks.
Wouldn't have guessed it. Mine's pretty solid. Like I said, pretty straightforward with mine.
Does the chocolate overtake yours or no?
No, I was cognizant of that when I was putting it together. I tried to make sure it was a nice balance with it, but that I'd still get some chocolate milk at the end. Because Frosted Flake milk is underrated, but you need a little bit of the chocolate afterwards.
Amen. I can appreciate that. I'm also a person that if I have Lucky Charms, I have to save my marshmallows till the end. And then
It's the only right way.
right. And then the marshmallows, just like a cloud in the sky, if you allow them to do it, as you eat them, they will reform and do things. They'll make shapes just like they do in the sky. And then you look at it and go, oh, that's a fish. That's a turtle. Like you can actually see your marshmallows bring some joy and happiness to your bowl before you eat them all. So there is only one way to eat Lucky Charms. Save the marshmallows to the end and then use your imagination and see what they make for you in the milk. That's how I do it.
That's the right way to do it. There's always marshmallows last. You have to. It's the right move.
So, Hodge, we're into this season, 2024-25. You and I were talking a little bit off the air about this. King's College. If I'm right, you were an assistant for many years there. But if I'm correct in looking at my numbers, and I know COVID, like a coach is still on staff, whether you played or not, or whether you coached or not during that year, depending on if the school was competing in games or not. But am I correct in saying that if I include the COVID year, you're at 9 as a head coach?
Yeah, because it's year 16 overall. So 7 as assistant, 9 counting the COVID year, even though, like you said, technically, on paper, it'll only say 8. It's been 9 years, yeah.
So for you, I mean, what's kept you at King's College for so long? Why King's for this amount of time?
The community of the people, right? It's all my coworkers. It's the type of students that we get. It's some of the familiarity of the area. Like I have neighbors, I have people that I've known for a while, and I'm someone who likes to be like all in at where I'm at. I don't like the idea of kind of jumping around, and it was never something that was appealing to me when I was younger and had the ability to kind of move around. So I really enjoy the people and the community at Kings who, have given me a lot of support and a lot of trust to do things the way that I want to do them and without the micromanaging. And it's just a really, really solid, community that we've built over the last 16 years.
And I know that, every coach wants to win. I know you're highly competitive, but how are you winning? Like you said, speaking about this community and where you are, how do you feel you win at Kings with your staff and your student athletes beyond simply the court?
Yeah, I think it's the trying to get them to realize it's not just that. Like, Division III, you're not getting money, you're not getting NIL money, you're not getting scholarship money. You're using sports as a vehicle to create relationships and to travel places and to meet different people and see different things. So I try to use that as ways to get them involved. I mean, our team is very involved with Special Olympics, so is all of King's College athletics. That's something that we have coming up here in the next month, where all of athletics host practices for our county Special Olympics team as they get ready for their basketball competition. And it's all 29 sports and their athletes coming together through our student athlete advisory committee to prep them for their games. And one of the teams that we helped out, they won their state championship last year when they went to Penn State. So it was a cool way to see, hey, they're actually preparing for competition. You see them on the news. Our players recognize them. We're able to go back. They also have different sports throughout the year, so it's not just basketball. We went bowling with them, in the beginning of January when we had a bye weekend. So we're trying to get involved in things like that. We try to partner. We have National Girls and Women's in Sports Day event coming up. We've got different drives that we do. We do a lot of True Love Movement is another one with the Wilkes-Barre Freedom Fighters. They collect stuffed animals, candy, Valentine's Day cards, and then they distribute them between nursing homes, group homes, shelters, anybody out in town on the square. So they're just trying to get them, to have a little bit of joy around a day that's about, spreading love, and it's not just romantic, it's just love for your neighbor kind of idea. So we try to just do different things, and it's never, I wouldn't say force Special Olympics. It's something that I've loved since high school and all the way through even elementary school. I was exposed, to having integrated classes early on, and I just have always loved it. So I highly encourage our players to volunteer one time, and, a lot of them keep coming back. But we always open it up to our team, like, hey, is there anything that you're involved with that you want to share with your teammates? And then we try to, build it out from there.
Well, I mean, I can say 2 easy words: thank you. And I mean, doing that is obviously special. It's important. You talk about Special Olympics, looking at people that when I was a kid, special needs, right by my house where I grew up, there was a home for adults of all different ages, and they could go and they could live in this home, And, I guess they had activities and different things that they would do or bring them out into the community. And when I was a kid growing up, there wasn't a lot of talk about it. And there wasn't a lot of like, these people are people and they're the same as you. It's not like there's this class of person and that class of person. And I wasn't raised to see people as different. I was raised to see people as all God's kids. So I will never forget that there was two individuals that lived in that house. And I know one of them is still alive to this day because during COVID times, I saw him in the grocery store and it warmed my heart. But one of these gentlemen would stand he knew when the bus would come. So in elementary school, we would pull up and he'd be right there at the Big M Market and he'd stand there and he'd wave to all of us kids on the bus. And I'll never forget that because it always meant something to me. And then there was another gentleman that lived in the house that he would walk by my house because he was right down the road. And I'll never forget one time I was playing basketball and he stood at the end of my driveway and he just watched me. And I was like, "Do you want to play?" And he just kind of looked at me and he wouldn't say anything. He kind of come forward a little bit, but then he was just kind of, making the most, like he wanted to just stand there and watch. And he watched for as long as he wanted to. And literally moments of no words, waving at a bus, watching a kid play basketball. But you could feel, for me, I could feel the warmth. I could feel the love. And something inside of me was like, I want to do something in this world when it comes to this. And I've thought about some ideas of what I can do with my business now, but it's something that's meant a lot to me. And Best Buddies at Marywood University, that was something that, I learned about a little bit. And we went to a home in downtown Scranton. And that was one of the programs that they're like, are we going to keep it? Are we not going to keep it? And I remember my dad saying something to me back then, and it sits with me now because I feel like I didn't do enough with it then. He said, you can go take something that's working, you can go take an activity that's successful, but that's not the son that I raised. The son that I have is the son that would take something that's almost dead and bring it back to life. And special needs has just always lived in my heart because I don't see there's this type of human and there's that type of human. And honestly, and I said this to my mom, I was like, people with special needs, they just seem happier. They seem like they've figured it out. They don't see the world like a lot of people see the world. They see the world for like what it should be. And they appreciate things that they stop and look at a rainbow or a butterfly. And I feel like if you sat down with someone who has special needs, you would just kind of change the way that you look at the world. So I know it's a long response to what you just said, but it's something that's always warmed my heart. And I don't know, something inside of me tells me that I want when I'm done with this earth, I want to at least help somebody see that special needs doesn't mean different. It doesn't mean less. It doesn't mean not worthy. It means they are, what did I say? I was like, special need. It's not there's people and special needs people. It's just people are people. And I love that you do this with your team. I'm not surprised in the human being that you are, but I just wanted to let you know that my history's kind of led me to that world before. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you actually care about it enough to do something.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's the best part. It's when it's right at the end of our season. So sometimes you can feel like a rundown and you're still doing recruiting, but Tuesday nights, man, I'm always excited for Tuesday nights because that's when I get to see my friends. I text with some of my FaceTime, throughout the year just to keep in the loop with everything. So it's a very special bond. It's a lot of my, like, they're not athletes. I work, like, they're friends. They're friends of mine. They're awesome, just human beings. And like you said, their perspective on things is incredible. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And for your team, how have you seen that develop their character, develop their spirit, develop who they are, develop their ability to connect with one another and really just form a bond? Because they say that when you go through a similar experience with someone, that can form a bond that nothing else can truly form in that manner. So when your student athletes are not only helping others, how are they in a way helping each other and kind of forming this connection that you don't see everywhere?
Yeah, I think our man Ted Lasso, right? Be curious, not judgmental. It really that's the evidence that I see. They'll come in timid, and it's not in from a negative way. It's just they're unsure of, maybe they haven't had the exposure and they're not sure how to approach a situation or approach and figure out the different, levels and needs of each athlete. So I think that's the part that's fun for me as a coach to watch. Like when we went bowling, we have 5 first years who I'm unsure of their level of involvement in those types of situations before. So to see them come in a little bit timid, kind of standing off, and then they get to see how the older guys are interacting. They get to see how, myself and our staff who have been here before interacting. And then you start to see our players bring out their personalities to match the awesome personalities of the other athletes. So I think it's them learning that you can be uncomfortable in a situation to start, but like you said, different doesn't mean bad, uncomfortable doesn't mean bad. It just means that you're going through something you haven't had a lot of experience with. So I think seeing that part of it, especially when you get to, we've been doing Special Olympics we said I've been at Kings for 16 years. We've been doing it for that entire time, right? I had colleagues who were athletes who started out as athletes working and volunteering with them, and then they became colleagues of mine. And, we're now the ones who are, helping coordinate and being there each week. And it's something that our athletic director is super involved with as well. So I think for them to see so many coaches also coming and administrators also coming and, involving themselves, like I said, I'll ask my players, just go one time. It's not a mandatory thing. I'm never going to make service like mandatory. But just come one time, and then, you ask them afterwards, like, that was great. I'm going to be here, each week that I can. And you see the athletes, they bond with each other from other teams as well. So it's cool to see that dynamic. The last practice of every, Special Olympics basketball season, we have a dance. So like we throw on, a huge speaker. All the athletes come in like, dresses or dressed up or whatever. We have a red carpet. All of the Special Olympic athletes get to, ask the Kings athletes, hey, do you want to be my escort? And then they take pictures down the runway like the tunnel fits for the NBA and WNBA. And it's a blast. We throw out yard games, we do everything. So to see from the beginning where you have a lot of people who are new and timid and maybe not done it before, to the last practice where we're firing up every single dance you can imagine. There's wobble, there's Cotton Eye Joe, there's everything, every kind of group dance imaginable, and everyone's just having a blast. Everybody's leaving with a ton of pictures and like sweaty from dancing and hanging out and eating pizza and chilling together. So there's a little bit of something for everybody, and that's the part that you see that community building right there, from our team, but also the whole, athletics community at Kings.
And for you, Hodge, do you feel like you can go back when there's an adversity moment, there's a tough moment, the team is going through a loss or two, or they're just not in sync with each other, or there's something within the team where somebody had an argument and it carried over into the court or whatever? Can you go back to moments like this, moments of being out there dancing, being sweaty, eating pizza, having a great time? Can you reach back and say, remember that we did this? Remember that we got through this together. Remember that we had these moments together. So whatever we have now, we have tools, we have moments, we have things that we've faced. We have these amazing, incredible moments. Like you guys are fighting now, but 3 months ago you came together to do something remarkable for someone. Can you reach back and use those special times with everything that you've done as a team to reset, I guess, so to speak?
Yeah, and I think that the big part of like the Kings mission in general is that they're talking about service a lot, right? But the difference that the way Kings approaches it is that reflection piece afterwards, right? Like everyone can go and do service, and then it's what do you do with it afterwards? So we try to have those recap moments afterwards of like, okay, tell me what it was like volunteering here. So that way they're developing their own ideas. They're being able to put into words like, hey, I was a little uncomfortable, but it got better and we were able to ease in, build trust, build relationships. And how did that then, play out? Where are you going to use that? So I think that's something big that Kings overall does. And it's something that we always just talk about, you can care about each other on the court, but I don't buy it when people are like, yeah, it doesn't matter what happens off the court, right? That's what you just talked about, is you have to build that trust, and you do that through shared experience. So it's trying to find those different ways of, hey, you can handle uncomfortable. You've handled uncomfortable before, and we've handled uncomfortable before. What worked then, and how do we need to find that now?
Have you had a student athlete or two come to you at some point and say, thank you for this experience that you didn't force upon me because it taught me blank? Like, have you had those moments?
Not in like a direct way, but it's more of the like, yeah, I'm glad, we ended up doing this and that this is something that you suggested because they show up every single week. So I wouldn't say there's like a direct like, oh wow, here's this like light bulb aha moment, but it's more of those subtle of, they keep showing up. If they were timid at the beginning, if you keep showing up, we always talk about as a team, how do you show that you care? Well, you show up. So that's the little nod for me of like, all right, if they keep coming back and if they keep not just like standing there, like they kind of grow in their involvement, then that's enough for me. I don't need them to say it. I just need them to keep showing up.
Well, they say that that's more than half the battle, right? Is the people that show up. We're here with Caitlin Hadzimichalis, aka Hodge, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Here for this edition of the Serial Combo, speaking on Kings College women's basketball, going far beyond simply playing games. I got a message that came in. He's somebody that means the world to me. He celebrated my 21-year broadcasting anniversary and was on site with his wife Amanda, and he has sent you a message. This comes from Jerry Hart. He said, Hodge, OMG, she's the bee's knees. What do you want to say back to Jerry?
Jerry, my man, he was always my favorite security guard. He was always a helping hand. I love just his positive energy when we were on campus. So Jerry, I'm glad to hear from you. Miss you. I hope all is well with you and your wife. That's an awesome blast from the past.
And Hodge, for you, I mean, we met at Marywood University, and you were playing, and I was commentating. So we've had this history that's gone throughout time, and we talk about building relationships. And there's these things, and I tell people all the time, if you want to know that God exists, just pay attention. I reached out to you, and this has happened in my life very often, and it's crazy, but I reached out to you, and I'm like, I haven't had Hodge on in a while. I want to see how she's doing. I missed the serial combo, and I want to talk with her and just catch up. And when I reached out to you, you said, I was just talking about the fact that I need to reach out to you to see how you're doing. What can you say to that? And I also said, playing into this in today's broadcast, I said, not only do we have a friendship, but we have an ability we connect in ways that we didn't know. And so it's like, I did the broadcast, you did the game, and I was like, I don't know if she saw it, if she understood what I was doing, what I was trying to do. And then you said all these nice things years later, and I always respected the type of person you are and loved cheering for you. I mean, I loved being there at those games and wish I had more, where we could talk even more about, you and your teammates, because not only you, but there's been some awesome people that come through Marywood. But then as we started doing these shows before Serial Combo, I was like, we think the same? And then it got down to the point of, we're talking about cereal, we believe in cereal concoctions, we have similar cereal concoctions. So just speak to that thing, because I think that's really cool about our friendship, and I think other people that are watching and listening can share the fact that it seems like a lot of the times when you go, I need to call this person and see what's up, that person writes back to you and goes, I was just about to pick up my phone.
I had like 3 of those the week that you texted out to me. Like literally, I had someone else, even on campus, that I hadn't seen in a while, where he shot me text, and I had the same thing of like, oh man, I haven't seen him in a while. So I think that's how you know you have connection. That's how you know that you have, a genuine connection, where you're not feeling like, oh, I have to be talking to you 24/7 to know like, hey, I need this reassurance. It's like, no, like I know that we're good. We know that we're good. We just got to find ways to, fit it into the calendar. But I think it's a cool way to show that connection and be able to, pick up right where you left off without having to feel like, oh, we need to make sure we're doing this, this, and this. There's just that natural authenticity that kind of flows when you have those moments with, everybody in their own individual lives. And I think it's just cool that, we're able to, just as people, like there's you have all your normal senses, but like when you can just feel that little bit, like just lean into it. If you're like, all right, I missed that, like cool, shoot the text. Odds are it's probably happening on the other side, and just go for it. And if not, it's like, hey, cool, busy, great. Or you get nothing, so what? But at least you're, honoring that and feeling that and putting that out there. Because a lot of times when you just go through that uncomfortable and you put it out there, it finds ways to work its way around,
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of, there's the people like, oh, I should have, I was thinking about doing it. I'm like, I'm not involved with those people. I'm involved with the people that are like, no, I did it. I'll text you. If you don't text me, I'm going to text you and see how you're doing. That was how the text read back to me, as it was like, yours back to me was, well, it's good that you reached out because I was about to reach out. And so, it's those things, those kind of like ripples and frequencies that you can't explain in life. I explain it by saying that God connects people, good people, to each other. And I've appreciated that. You talk about taking it from where you left off and then just keep going with it. Well, where we left off last time, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and the crew, WNBA gained some amazing players. College basketball, the concern was not a concern for me because I've been covering women's basketball since I started my career. But when I saw Caitlin move forward, and you see Angel Reese, and you see all these other players move forward, and that Paige and some of these other people are going to be moving forward in the not too far away future, the question of how does college basketball for the women's side stay effective, stay top of mind, stay fun? And I'm going to say the answer that I would say before and put it out there. There's this like cyclical thing of we don't show women's. We've talked about this before. We don't show a women's game. And so we're not showing it because we don't think it's important. And because we don't think it's important, now other people don't think it's important because they're not seeing it. They can't find it anywhere. They can't consume it. So then there's not enough consumers, which keeps to peddle this narrative of we don't have to show it. So if you don't show it, no one's consuming it. Then you can say there's no consumers, so you can continue not to show it. And they're like, well, what changed? Well, what changed is they took a chance. What changed is Caitlin Clark caught on. Angel Reese caught on. Certain teams outside of UConn and Tennessee caught on. People love seeing Coach Staley. That caught on. So there was just, it went beyond. It went to South Carolina. There's moments where it went to Louisville. It went to Notre Dame. It went to Iowa. And, of course, it went to LSU. Then you start learning personalities of coaches. How do these coaches dress? How do these coaches act? How do these coaches talk? How do they build their teams? What do they do? And to me and you, the stage was simple. Put it out there and give people a chance to give it a chance instead of not putting it out there where, some people don't know if they're going to like it. But to me, and Hodge, this, and this is so ridiculous that I have to say this in 2025, but ball is ball. Ball is ball. And when I was at Marywood, with no disrespect to the men's team, the women's team was better 95% of the time. So I remember sitting there going, if I didn't cover this game and I decided to be like every other guy, look at how many games we would be missing. Look at all these women we'd be missing, and look at all these games that were more competitive than some of the other games that we had on campus at the time. So to me, I'm not worried about women's basketball. It was on last night. UConn was on last night. It's crazy. UConn has like 2 losses. People are like, oh my God, they're so bad this year. But like you see these games on and you experience it. I was at the Wildcat Sports Pub and there was multiple women's basketball games on. And so you just keep putting it out there. That's how you change it. What do you think about this? When people were like, women's basketball doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, it matters. And then it was like, well, now they're in the WNBA, so now college basketball is going to suffer again. I don't think women's college basketball is suffering, but I'd love to get your thoughts.
No, it's absolutely not. I think it's still thriving from the parity that's been created because of all the other teams that have come up and, found their spotlight in different moments like you're talking about. You got Notre Dame and Louisville. And then for a while, like Kelsey Plum before everyone started getting going, got a little bit more on TV. So there's always been the pockets. You covered it well. Like it's always been there. It's always been very good. It's just now getting more exposure. And I think last night, you're watching UConn, Tennessee, me being old school and like knowing the rivalry and like loving the rivalry, growing up in the Northeast and seeing it, knowing all of that. It was really cool to watch last night. And I even had a conversation with my GA who's, fresh out of college and was like, I don't know anything about the rivalry. Let me know. And one of our managers who's from Connecticut, who literally bleeds blue, we had to do a lot of check-ins on her in the group chat last night of like, hey, you still breathing? And she wasn't for a while. So we're kind of going back and forth with it. So to still see that, we have a current college student who's like explaining the entire history of UConn, Tennessee and why UConn is on the better side of things. And then me explaining about, that's Candace Parker threw down on UConn in whatever the 2000s, and it was a big deal. And then you see the game go on last night, and it's all still there, even though I know Paige Beckers had said something along the lines of the rivalry that we all remember as UConn players were the Notre Dame one. So it's cool to see all of that tying, but the history still being there. And then women's basketball. The thing that I love the most about it is that we deliver, right? Every time it's like, hey, we're gonna put you on TV, it's like they know that, okay, it's just, me being on the women's side of things, a lot of time women's feel that pressure of like, all right, if I'm gonna do something, I have to do it so much better than everyone else just to try to make sure people realize how important this thing is. And women's basketball and women's athletics in general, I think, have really taken that because they know we might only get this small of a window. How do we run with it? So right now, like, you have had so many different upsets and great games. Iowa just beat USC and Juju Watkins the other day. You have UCLA with Lauren Betts just dominating in the post. You have South Carolina still being South Carolina after everyone's like, well, South Carolina won't be. They lost this, this, and this in the last 2 years. They're still one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country. It's the parity, it's the build, it's the I think a lot of women's basketball is community building as well, right? You don't have a lot of the one and dones. You still have, a transfer portal and all of that, but you're starting to now see the value of knowing people and building team chemistry and building storylines, right? That's why Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese got so electric, is because there was a story. And you know me, I love like professional wrestling and all that good stuff. We've talked about that too. It's about story building, and then you have to deliver on the action. You can have a great story, but if you can't deliver on it, it doesn't matter. Well, women's basketball and women's athletics have always had the stories. Now they're getting the platforms for the big finishes to see, the product on top of the storytelling. So I'm again, that's something you and I have always bonded on, is how awesome it is and how much the exposure is really helping. And now you carry it over to the WNBA, or I don't know how much, have you watched any or heard any of the Unrivaled League that Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart started up at all?
No, I haven't been familiar with the Unrivaled, but I want you to share it this morning.
So Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart created a 3-on-3 league to fill the gap in between the WNBA season and all of college basketball, because so many athletes were having to go overseas. And it was great for them to go overseas. They made a lot more money. They got a lot of, some of the top talent and got really good experience and all that, but they weren't making their bag close to home where they can be with family. So they're doing a league right now. And one of the best parts is how publicized and how organized their viewership has been built, I would say. So it's like on TNT, like 3 nights a week. They're going to have a one-on-one tournament for $250K, where if you win, the fans voted on the brackets and the seating. So you have all of these legitimate WNBA stars, from Brianna Stewart, who was, MVP up there, Nafisa Collier, who's in the MVP race, all the way down to Iowa and like Kate Martin, who's a rookie who got in the league, who's, trying to figure it out. But they're playing 3-on-3 on a smaller court. And it's really electric rules. I feel like you'd really like the rules. It's whatever the score is going into the fourth quarter, it's you have to get to a magic number. So whatever team is in the lead, it's 11 points above that. So if you're down really far and you go on a tear, you can still hit a buzzer beater and, win. Every game ends on a buzzer beater. So it's just electric, and it's 3-on-3, and I love watching it. It's a blast. And I think it's keeping that momentum of the season, because that was always a big knock against the WNBA, is you have an incredible season that's 3 months long, and then what do you do for the rest of the time? You're not capitalizing on those brands that have been built. So now you have Caitlin Clark, who's not in the league, but still, around, who's going to have that publicity. But you have Angel Reese, who's in the league. You have all these other MVPs going crazy, and it's a good way to keep the story going and the sponsorship going, and doing things a little bit differently than the WNBA, but also still building on, hey, watch them do this, but come back in a month when the draft happens, and then right now free agency is crazy. So you're seeing all of that extra storyline stuff that just builds everything.
Yeah, and I love that you brought it up, and I've been locked into college football season because my college football season ended on January 21st. So that, by the grace of God, I can only thank God for that, and all the wonderful people at the college football playoff and the bowls and the sites and everybody involved. Something else happened. So I will say this, as much as you just told me about all that and everything you said sounds awesome, and now I'm going to be watching it. And I'm going to be texting you while I'm watching it, and I'm going to get into it, and then I'm going to be saying things, and then I'm going to, in my head's going to be, I'm an idea man, as you know. So I'm going to be, well, why can't we do something like this? But I will say that So this past weekend, I was at Lemoyne, and we have an exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Lemoyne. And Nick DePillo is the new head coach of the women's basketball team. Love having him there. So Nick's there. Katie Kalinsky, we've been friends for a very, very long time. Happy to see her staying on staff. And then Maya comes in, and Casey comes in, Maya Jackson and Casey Filio. So I go out and I see the team. They had a gamut of a non-conference schedule. And they're still in transition to D1. This is year 2. So it's early on, and they just went through. They were all over the place. They went to Stanford to start the season off. And they come home, and they're trying to now have momentum in the NEC because now it's a new season. Now you're in the conference play. And they were down in this game, but something inside me was like, all right, they can come back. Like, I'm not worried about this. So it was kind of like back in almost, okay, now they're close. Now they're 3 points down. They're 1 point down. Second half, they took over. They won by 10. And this is what you're saying, and I'm saying to people, that was one of the most exciting games I watched. I go to Syracuse basketball games. I just went to Syracuse Duke, but I saw more fight in Lemoyne women's basketball than I saw in Syracuse men's basketball this year. So when people are watching one thing or paying attention to one thing, you might be missing something somewhere else. And I know you got kids and you're busy in your job and this and that, whatever. But like I said, ball is ball. And when you see a good game, like yesterday when I saw UConn Tennessee, I'm going to tell you the first thing I thought, because I smiled and I thought about this. College basketball on the men's side is critiqued for what? Not having out-of-conference games deep into the season before the tournament to build your resume and state your case. And here I'm seeing UConn in the Big East and Tennessee in the SEC, and they're willing to face each other. They're willing to take a loss that deep into the season. We're in February. March Madness is a month away. So to be where we are right now and to see games like that, I smiled and I said to myself, good for the women for doing it. Maybe the men will listen. I know there's some teams that are doing it. There are teams that are playing these deeper games because they've kind of learned it. But there's conferences like the ACC that I cover, and they have 20 conference games a season, which I think is too much because it only allows for 10 or 11 out-of-conference games. And those 10 or 11 are played early in the season. And Syracuse, notoriously, is not... Now they're doing a little bit more because they have the ACC, SEC, and whatnot, and they had a Big Ten one this year. But they weren't really challenging themselves, and definitely outside of the end of December, you don't see them play a non-conference game. But other teams are starting to learn this in men's basketball. Like, we need to go out of conference late. We're good, and you don't know who's going to be good. You anticipate, but when it comes down to, like, we're a high-ranked team, they're a high-ranked team, and these two teams might make it to the Final Four. The women doing that last night, if people paid attention to it and they knew the history like you and I do with Pat Summitt and Gino Auriemma, they would know that that game that was on TV last night, that is a premier marquee. You shouldn't be watching anything else. And the fact that they're willing to do it in February, I commend women's college basketball, and I commend those institutions for being willing to play a game like that, understanding that somebody's going to lose that game.
Yeah, big time. They're top 25. They're ranked teams going after it. That's how else do you get ready for March? It's like you said, it's marquee, it's electric, it's the way it's supposed to be. And that's why I love women's college basketball. They've always done that. You have to get prepared. Dawn Staley talks about all the time the amount of ways she'll give some of those really up and coming mid-major teams. Like she'll play them and she's willing to put it at risk. Yeah. Because she understands that it's helping to grow the game, it's helping to grow her team, but it also might be a jump for some of those other teams that they're playing, that they're ready to take on that and step up into that next level and get ready for their conference play. So I agree with you. I think it's something that women's basketball has always done, and it's the reason, again, why I love women's basketball versus some of these other sports, because it's about building the entire brand of women's basketball. We're not going to be afraid. We're going to go and play these matchups because that's what makes all of us better. It's what makes our individual teams better. It's what makes the product better. And you put it on TV and people are going to fall in love. They may not love it now, but they're going to watch it and eventually they're going to see it.
Well, and that's I remember I was covering an OCC game in the NJCAA junior college. And I was covering the team, and I had Mike Wheeler on the show, who's now the head coach of Liverpool girls basketball and playing for state titles now. The guy is just an amazing coach, an electric coach, and he's a magnet to championship opportunities, and he's a good man. And so him and I were talking, and somebody was listening to the show at the time, and they said, they're like, I had no idea that we had a team here in Syracuse that was in the top 3 ranked in the country for women's basketball. And they said, after hearing this interview, after listening to the show and hearing this interview and hearing how good they are, I might actually go to a game, Dan. And it's those things, like you said, if we expose you to it, there's an opportunity. Like when it's not on television, like it continues that just cyclical thing of it doesn't matter, because the people are, well, if it did matter, they'd put it on TV. Obviously, there's no sponsors. Obviously, the broadcast networks don't care. Obviously, they can't make money. Because what do people say about women's sports all the time? They don't generate money. That's why the players don't get paid that much, because there's no money in it. Go to the WNBA's website right now. Look at the affiliate. Look at the sponsors that they have now. Look at the partnerships that they built and the brands that they have. Look at the NWSL for women's soccer professionally and what they have done as things continue to grow. And one of the things that I love, and I got to cover it this past year, and I will cover it again coming up here not too far away, is Central New York. Other states have done this, other places have done this, but last year Central New York created girls flag football as a sport. And now we're going to see it in the Olympics. So there's so much to be said about how do you know you don't like it if you haven't seen it? How do you know you don't like it if you haven't been around it? And we can't live in a place anymore where people are like, oh, is the WNBA going to last? Oh, does soccer even matter? If you watch these teams, you're willing to watch America in any Olympics, and you're willing to cheer for these women to get a gold medal in soccer, or get a gold medal in basketball, get a gold medal in anything, those same women are playing down the street at this arena, or they're playing a 45-minute plane ride. For me, to get to a Liberty game, 45-minute plane ride. So if that's happening down the road, if the NWSL is right there with you as well, then why cheer for them once every 4 years or once every so many years when you can see them, watch them, and take in the action and really get to know them? And to me, last night, and keep in mind, Tennessee was ranked 19th in the nation, Connecticut 5, and Tennessee got that win. 80-76, 2 top 20 teams in February on primetime television. You tell me what men's basketball game was on last night that you couldn't at least turn on. And I'm not saying the men don't have great games, because I love the men's game. I've covered it forever. But you tell me there was a better game on television yesterday than UConn Tennessee women's basketball. There wasn't. And the Wildcat knew that. That's why they put it up on the screen.
Yep. No, big time. It's 100% spot on with all of that. And I think that's, to tie it full circle to what we're talking about earlier in the day with Special Olympics, now to women's sports, to everything. Beyond that is that you could have that motto for everything. Like, get to know them, give it a chance, and then you're going to realize there's no need for the bias and whatever it is, whether that's you're talking about disabilities and neurodivergence or whatever it is, to women's athletics, to socioeconomic status, to everything else. Like, just be curious, give things a chance. And on the women's side, it's always, like I said, it's always been there. And it's cool that others are getting on board. We've got to continue to give them reasons to stay on board, because that's where you start driving up all the extra, where it's going to get to the level where hopefully we're getting on the same, like, equal platform. We're getting the same amount of eyes and opportunity to bring in the same amount of eyes. And then it's up to the product to deliver. But I know the product is going to deliver. And you're talking about all the different whatever. Like, I got my Asia Wilson. This is an Asia Wilson Stan account over here. So being able to see them all now, being able to have their own lines, right? Before it was just Jordan, but now you have, like, Caitlin Clark eventually is going to have her shoe. Asia just launched her whole line. You still have all these different opportunities that are awesome for me to see, because that wasn't how it was when I was growing up. I was lucky, like you, where the women's teams a lot of times are always better. So it's normal for me. It's not normal everywhere else. So now that we're seeing that everyone else kind of catching on with the NWSL, right? They were the best soccer team. The women's soccer team is the best soccer team in the entire world. Yeah. And now that they play in the NWSL, they had how many leagues fold before that? And it's like, that shouldn't happen. The talent is insane across the planet. So, you go look at the England side of things. What was it? The England women, they were, like, banned for 70 years from playing soccer because they were better than the men's program, and they didn't want that to happen. So they got literally banned from playing professionally. And then we're like, well, the women are terrible. Well, they weren't allowed to play for how long? Like it's the chicken for the egg or the egg kind of conversation. Okay, well, you have to spend money to get money. You have to give investment to get a product worth investing in. And all of these women's sports and athletics across the world have kept showing, give us a shot, we'll show you.
Yeah, and you said you got to keep investing. And here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where we're with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and typically beyond that, like today, on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. We thank you for watching and listening up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. Here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You talked about making an investment. Well, guess what? Panini, which is known for making all types of cards, and they've had the NFL for a while. Topps is coming back into the NFL. But Panini's done a lot of things, and Panini decided to step out and do something and make an investment in women's basketball, coming out with the Panini Select first ever, the debut edition of WNBA Panini Select cards for 2024. And your boy does box breaks with GG cards and breaks. And I have said, and I just had the conversation yesterday, that these cards are sick. I've told people the colorfulness, I don't know who's working on women's basketball for Panini, but they have made refractors and insert cards the most colorful, the most electrifying. These like zigzag, it looks like radio frequency stuff, and all these crazy pieces here. Well, my most recent box break was of the women's game, and I was able to pull this rookie here, and I'm going to go ahead and show it. But, I mean, this thing is Technicolored beauty. And one of the inserts that I got, and if you know me, you know that I am very happy with this card. And it's also the first time that I've ever pulled her card from anything, and it's a Liberty one, is Central New York native and refractor here, Breanna Stewart. This is one of the ones I just pulled from the GG Cards and Breaks. And I don't know if you've seen this yet, Miss Hodge, but when I was in Philadelphia, I found this, I bought it, and it now is right over my shoulder where it says, "Hope makes the impossible possible." It's my Breanna Stewart autographed card here, and it is a PSA, was it a PSA 8 out of 10 graded? It's her signature card from back in 2020 with the Storm, and so that sits right over my shoulder. And now I have something that I pulled to go with it. So just so you all know, when you talk about making an investment, Panini has invested in the WNBA, and their debut edition of WNBA cards for Panini Select is out right now and available at GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse. So I want to thank Panini for doing it. I want to thank GG's for carrying it. And I want to thank the Box I Opened for giving me a Breanna Stewart. So just so you know, Hodge, the world that we're talking about is definitely growing, and it's exciting. And like I said, I don't know who the heck worked on this stuff, but I was opening it, and this is not the first box I've opened because I'm trying to get a Caitlin Clark, and I've been trying for years with the college, and the last couple of years I wanted a college card of hers, which I do have some, but I'm looking for her auto, because if I pull it from a box, it might cost me $40, $50. If I want to buy a Caitlin Clark autograph on eBay, $8,000, $12,000. There was one that I think was $70,000. So I'm still trying, but just so y'all know, not only are these cards cool as heck, they exist. And when you and I were kids, this wasn't even a thought. So Pretty awesome.
No, that's sweet. I love that. Love that you got the dual Stewie going. You got the early Stewie, now the championship at the Liberty Stewie. So that's awesome.
Before we hop out of here, I was talking about Philly, and that's where I got the Breanna Stewart. Well, Philadelphia is going to be going up against Kansas City. I believe that most of the world will be painted green in this championship game. You are obviously coaching in the state of Pennsylvania. Are you leaning toward the Eagles? Are you saying, please, Saquon, do something with this dynasty on the other side? I mean, Kansas City, let's face it, Hodge, the Patriots were the big bad wolf. And the underdog was Kansas City. Andy Reid came in, the team was 2-14. People forget Travis Kelce was on the team for a really long time, before Andy Reid, before Pat Mahomes. Then they start winning. Then they get one championship, then they get another one, then they get another one. Now they're trying to get 3 in a row. It's never been done before in the NFL. And now they become public enemy number one. Now they're the new Patriots. Now everybody hates them. They were the underdog. Now they win too much. So are you leaning on the Kansas City Mahomes dynasty and keep it going? Or are you leaning to your state that you coach in and saying, you know what? I'm not an Eagles fan, but today I'm going to be.
So I'm a Giants fan and we've been terrible. So as a Giants fan, I feel like it's only right to root for not the dynasty. Like Eli Manning got it done twice and stuck it to the Patriots. But also being a Giants fan, it's really hard to say that I'm rooting for Philly. It's really hard. But a lot of our players are huge Birds fans, a lot of, being in state, everybody. So that's why I want to root against them because I want a little bit of chaos and to be like, haha, your team lost. Well, my team was terrible all year long. But I'm going to be on the Saquon train.
Okay.
Giants were dumb for getting rid of him, in my opinion, and the fact that he's going off and doing what he's doing, and he's like an awesome human being on top of it. I'll go with crushing a dynasty and some Saquon. I can root for that for an afternoon.
Yeah.
But I hope I can still find ways to make fun of my Eagle fan friends and players because I just enjoy causing a little crap talking.
Yeah, something inside of me, I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's a Giants fan. But it's funny because Saquon, just like Derrick Henry, and I brought it up plenty of times on the show, so I'll abridge the version of this one, but they're too old, right? They're too old. 31 years old for Derrick Henry, 27 for Saquon. They're too old. Running backs are a dime a dozen. Go get one in the draft. Buy them for pennies on the dollar. You don't need to pay for these guys because anybody that's beyond their rookie contract, anybody that's 25 or older, 30, forget about it. Old man should be sitting on a porch somewhere. That's how they treat these guys. And I said, okay, well, not every running back is great. I'm not going to write anybody off because they're too old at 25 or 31 or 27. But you have generational people. Derrick Henry arguably is playing his best football now, which is insane because I watched him stiff arm a Jaguars play as a Jaguars fan, stiff arm a Jaguars player, and as the guy was in motion running, he pushed the guy's head whose legs are still moving and moved his entire body out of bounds while he was running himself by simply pushing the dude's head. And I remember going, that's a bad man. So Derrick Henry, 2,000 plus yards this year. Saquon, and I said it repeatedly. I said, Saquon ain't going to be behind this line dealing with all this nonsense with the Giants. We don't have a quarterback. We don't have an O-line. We don't have receivers that we could deal with here. He was getting no help. He was the whole offense. I said, dude is not going to stay here forever. If he gets a green light, he's gone. And he goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, too old and washed up at 27, all that stuff we heard. And I said, okay, you may not think that every running back is elite, but I will never base something on age, number one, because I started my career when I was 18 years old, and I'm sure a lot of people thought I didn't belong there. So one, the age doesn't matter. And two, I said, okay, let's say you're right about 95% of running backs in the NFL, that when they hit 26, they don't do as well. But we're talking about Saquon, and we're talking about Derrick Henry. We're not talking about any running back. We're talking about two of the best ones in the country. This year, the two best in the country. So the Giants got rid of Saquon. I can't figure out why, other than their belief that he's too old and we can go find cheaper things. How have you handled this? Because when I was in Philadelphia, there were Giants fans at the card show that were willing to give up Saquon cards, good Saquon cards, potential rookie cards, autograph, whatever. They're like, just take them. Get them out of my face. And I'm like, you know what, Giants fans? If you want to be bitter, at least be bitter and make money. You're at a Philly show. You can sell these things for double the price if you wanted to. And one of the guys was like, I'll sell this stuff half price, 70% off. Just get it away. He was just like, get these cards away from me. I'm done with this man. How have you dealt with the Saquon travesty? The Giants have made a lot of bad decisions, but they took their franchise player who resurrected his career with my friend DeAndre Smith, who was his running backs coach at the time with the Giants. They took this beautiful, wonderful specimen of football player and they said, we don't care where you go, even if it's in division, because we don't need you. And by the way, the Eagles are playing in the championship game, and the Giants, if I'm correct, are one of the 5 worst teams in football without Saquon.
Mm-hmm. No, spot on. I think those Giant fans are idiot, and they're scorned, I suppose. But for the front office to be like, you can go anywhere, we don't need you, it was the dumbest thing. Just absolutely makes no sense to me. How do you let go of generational talent? Sure, he tore his ACL. Great. That happens. You never know how people are going to come back after that. But the Giants did nothing to give him an opportunity to be the generational talent that he is at running back. Like, if you're not going to get him support, you're not even going to get quarterback. Like, the offensive line's not doing anything for a quarterback or the running back, so offense is terrible. Well, then that's on you. And for people to then give up very easy money in Philly, like you're saying that's happening, that's the kind of stuff in people I don't understand. Like, cool, be wrong, but be I would love to be rich and wrong. That would be stellar. I would love that. Like, I always joke, you look at the D1, between any sport, football, basketballs, whatever, people are getting fired for millions of dollars. Please fire me for millions of dollars. Like, I would love to be wrong and dumb and rich. Sign me up.
Well, yeah, that's the funny thing is, like, you become an SEC coach and it's like, well, you're probably only going to last 3 years. Yeah, but my buyout is $45 million plus everything I've already made. So I'm going to coach for 3 years and then you're going to fire me. And if I'm smart, I'm going to leave here with over $30 million to just play with for the rest of my life because I came here for 3 years. So there is a point, and it's understood and taken. The change in collegiate athletics, we're only going to touch upon this because I'm going to have you back on the show with it. But Diego Pavia in the junior college world, college football, has decided to sue the NCAA over the reality, in his opinion, that junior college should not count against playing in college, that you should have 5 years to play 4 in college, even if you went to junior college. So he went 2 years junior college. He's played 3 years of the NCAA. He wants the NCAA to give him another year so he has 4, if not 2 more years, so that he has 5 and a chance to play 4 because other guys have played 5 years. Now, they had it because of COVID when they specifically mentioned Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel. But I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Hodge. If we live in a world where the NCAA loses a case and you can go to junior college for 2 years and still play 4 full seasons of college, whatever sport, what are your thoughts?
I think the trickle down is a slippery slope, right? Like, what does that do then to your Division II and Division III? Is that everyone who's going to go and try to go on the JUCO side, which is an excellent route for people who need to go that route, or who are, still developing, or, financial issues or whatever it is, academic issues that they've got to work out. So I don't think that it's like, I don't know enough about it, but I'm intrigued by the trickle down of what does that then do to your other lower levels? What does that do to NAIA? What does that do? Because we're getting so, they're trying to talk about Division I, and you just get it where it's, they're trying to add a year in general to Division I or whatever it was. I thought I read something, and it's like, okay, that's for me from like the purest idea of like, I'm at Division III, like, college, like, education is important. You're supposed to, use sports and whatnot, but then you're really dabbling on that line of, okay, what is the point of NCAA, right? What is the point of that amateurism? What's the point of, all right, semi-pro? What is all that? So I think there's valid argument for, yeah, if you go to JUCO and then you're able to transfer in, yeah, like a year seems, like you said, the 5 years to use 4 doesn't seem like unrealistic to me. I would have to research it more. I'm more intrigued by what is the trickle down then, because you do see a lot of these guys on the college football side being there for 7-8 years between the red shirts and then the all the other stuff. It's a slippery slope, and I'm intrigued to see where it all goes, because it's so up in the air right now. Like, I think that it probably doesn't get ruled that way because of that precedent that it would set. I don't know.
Well, the Judge Campbell, has already said that the NCAA's argument, quote unquote, falls flat. The NCAA is notorious for losing in court. So, Hodge, we can only see probably more shakeup. I do want to let this be known here. Jerry said, I still remember Hodge lighting it up on the field hockey field. So, remember, folks, it wasn't just basketball. That's how I met Hodge. But Jerry knows her from other things, including field hockey. Hodge, as always, it is awesome to mix up cereal combinations with you as well as have the conversation. You will be back very soon because we barely scratched the surface. And see, here's the problem. When we take a little hiatus and then we know we pick up where we left off, as soon as we pick up there, then I get the itch again. And now I'm like, well, now Haj has to hang out with me more because I like these conversations too much. So thank you for your time today. Shout out to King's College. Please go and support them if you're out in Pennsylvania or on the road. Show the Monarchs some love. And just know that they got some cool gear, too. There's a little hoodie on this short sleeve thing. So I'm a spoiled man thanks to Miss Haj over here. And we've been spoiled today with having you on the other side of this screen. So thank you for your time, and I'll look forward to talking with you soon.
Right back at you. Jerry, thanks, my man. Good hearing from you. See you guys.
Take care. That color from Caitlin Hadzimichalis. One more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're going to take a quick step aside. We will be back inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios to wrap up the broadcast. How did this week end already? We'll be back right after this. Man, enjoy your time. For real, though. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there was something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There was a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really changed the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allow customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servamation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machine, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machine. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I could tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. I'm going to do it while looking at you here right now because I talk about GG Cards and Breaks all the time, but I want you to see my face when I tell you about how awesome they are. 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 into 5. You will find Disney Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, soccer, hockey, basketball, baseball, football, and more, including every piece of supply you need, from boxes to top loaders to sleeves to one-touch cases to binders. Everything you need to protect your cards, travel with your cards, showcase your cards. It's all at GG Cards and Breaks. It's where we get to be big kids. all ages go to GG Cards and Breaks, and you see it when we're at trade night. You got little kids there, might be, you might have kids that are 11 years old, 13 years old, 5 years old, running around 7 years old, and then you got people there in their 50s, 60s, 30s, 40s, just enjoying the world of collecting sports cards, trading cards, sharing them with each other, and just having an all-around awesome time celebrating something that's just, it's simple, but it's pure, and it connects us. And I met a lot of great people in it, including everybody at GG Cards and Breaks. Head out there today to see what I'm talking about. GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sundays from 10 to 5. Let them know that DT sent you their way. With that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both / Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And a big time shout out to the absolutely wonderful places that we get to carry our broadcast: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. You'll find us there. Download, subscribe, save, follow, all the good stuff. Thank you so much for everybody that has on all of our channels and beyond. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Brooklyn Pickle, 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Head out there. It is right down the road from the famous Pinehurst golf courses. You will find the Brooklyn Pickle. That is right. The central and upstate New York phenom of a sandwich shop has found its way down to North Carolina, and you could see them on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Let them know that DT sent you when you head in there. So, Jerry said, not long enough. You guys shattered me this morning. Oh, Jerry, because we love you. We love you so much, Jer. I hope we showed you that love. I'm sorry that we talked about Philly, because I know he's a Washington fan. So we didn't mean to hurt you with that. I'm not sorry we talked about Philly. I'm sorry if that hurt you, Jer, but we love you dearly. You know that. And our team of partners on Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, where we were last night with the West Genesee Wildcats ice hockey team, 16-0-3 this season, and they are getting ready for the sectionals and a chance to win a sectional championship, as well as a fight for the state title as well. Frank Calabufo, fantastic. Jonah Vormwald, Luke Beck, and the entire team that was there last night. Everybody, all the families, thank you so much to West Genesee High School, to the Wildcats now, then, and in the future, and of course to all of the teams, including the ice hockey team that we had last night, and a God bless to them on their upcoming postseason. Much appreciation for all the support at the Wildcat Sports Pub, for the West Genesee Wildcats, for Wake Up Call, and for all that we do in over 8 years of partnering with the Wildcat Sports Pub, and as an extension to West Genesee, partnering with them to continue to promote and put a spotlight on their student athletes, coaches, and the entire community of West Genesee and Camillus, New York. Thank you all for showing up last night and for showing up always. We appreciate it. I appreciate it so very much. GG Cards or Breaks, Avicoli's, Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world, on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Kampground, Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Brian's Landing, where I can't wait to eat, and I'm going to have myself some good food today. And, of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin time. You will see them, and Jerry said go Chiefs. You will see the Dolphins during Dolphin time every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And, of course, student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni call Wake Up Call their home. And you will find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Lemoyne playlist. You'll also find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com and Fins Way Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We bring you the Bobcat Buzz every single month with student athletes, coaches, and administration. Don't miss a second, including our most recent special with the men's basketball team. Very heartfelt with them having a season where they believe that they can get to the end of the line. And I'm looking forward to seeing them grow and blossom. They won. The women's team won recently. The women's team blew out their competition by almost 50 points in that game. Crazy. Putting on that work. So congratulations to the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats, men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, and all that they do with their athletic department, student athletes, coaches, and administration. Find our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time. Student athletes, coaches, and administration joining me here on Wake Up Call in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership to tell their stories in ways that you will not find anywhere else, with coverage of every single one of their sports. And you can find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. You can also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I want to thank everyone a part of this Friday show inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Many thanks to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week, Chick-fil-A Cicero for lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Remember, the freedom of speech is not the freedom to spread hate with a green light here. Freedom of speech is not a green light for hate. Remember that. You do have the freedom to speak your mind and your heart, and just know that there are consequences, and speak with love and not with hate. Top dog of the week, Josh Allen for winning his first ever MVP. Shout out to Mr. Allen, and of course Lamar Jackson as well for being the runner-up and a two-time winner. Top dog of the week, proudly presented by the best place and the only place that I would bring your dog for short and long-term care, Canine Kamp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, both in East Syracuse, right by one another. 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse for the daycare, and the campground on 242 Johnson Street. And, of course, my wonderful partner in crime for Serial Combo, Miss Caitlin Hadzimichalis, joining me, the King's College Monarchs women's basketball head coach, speaking on so many wonderful things in life, including helping those with special needs and doing service as a team. So we are all equal. We are all children of God, and we all should be treated with dignity and grace and kindness and goodness. Thank you for Caitlin for giving us that message today. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. I'll talk with you all soon from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. This is Wake Up Call. God bless. No stress. Do your best. There's a big game going on Sunday. You should probably watch it. Take care.